Hello, and thank you for visiting my series, Welcome to Inkopolis, Here's a Water Gun. Practice tips for new and struggling players. This tutorial series is aimed at helping new players and or struggling players. With the holidays coming, there are going to be a lot of both. If you are an experienced player looking to become more competitive, I do hope you enjoy the video, but this may not be optimal for you. In part 1, we will cover 6 concepts: inking turf, cover, which surfaces can and cannot be inked, shortcuts, assessment challenge, and checking your map. Concept 1, inking turf. Ink is life, truly. In Splatoon, as in real life, ink is a necessary survival mechanism for a Cephalo-kid. Without inking turf, you cannot move efficiently or effectively. More importantly, neither can the rest of your team. After you made a Splatoon 2 character, you went through a short tutorial that showed you the basic controls. We won't review those here. We are going to look at the benefits of inking turf and the consequences of not inking turf. Aside from creating an ink refill station, inking turf provides speed, stealth, charges your special weapon, and slows the opponent. You also can save time later by inking as many vertical surfaces as possible. While vertical surfaces don't count for points for inking turf and charging specials, inking them is an easy and necessary habit you must develop early. Access to vertical pathways is essential, and so is saving time. We are going to look at the difference in speed between walking and swimming. We're using port mackerel because it has a nice, long, and fairly straight path to use for pure speed comparisons. My current outfit has no run speed up abilities nor swim speed up abilities. Starting at 4 minutes. And we're going to hit it at 3:28. And it's about 32 or 33 seconds. And starting at 3:17, we're going to swim all the way. And hit it right at 3 minutes, which is about 16 or 17 seconds, which is about precisely about half the time. Now I'm going to change to gear that has 3 main run speed up abilities and compare the times. Here we go. Starting at 4 minutes. And right at 3:37, that's about 23 seconds, which is still longer than swimming with no swim speed up. With swim speed up, we went from 3:50 to 3:36. It's about 14 seconds. That's no longer half the walking speed with the same bonus, but it is still much faster. When you don't ink or re-ink turf, you deny mobility to you and your team, preventing all of you from returning to the fight quickly. You may also find yourself without space to dodge or escape if you leave yourself surrounded by enemy ink. We looked at how your ink affects your movement. Now we're looking at how enemy ink affects your movement. First, my lovely assistant and I will put some ink down. This is how enemy ink slows down your swim speed. Even the tiniest drop has a noticeable effect. More than a drop is, of course, worse. This is how enemy ink affects your position. Here I am hiding, maybe refilling ink. And I'm forced out. I'm holding down the ZL button right now. Repeatedly pressing ZL has this result. You can hop out of it. A common issue is bomb dodging. I cannot escape damage surrounded by enemy ink, nor can your teammates. You must put ink down as you cross the map, no matter what game mode it is. But Turf War is the best place to develop good habits early on and to practice new things later on. Concept 2. Cover. While you wander around the map inking turf, it won't be long before you will have ink shot or flung at you. To reduce the risk of getting splatted, you need to find cover. Anything that functions as a wall between you and enemy ink is cover, and it comes in a lot of shapes and sizes. A lot of cover can be inked, allowing you to climb up and over, while plenty of it cannot. The important thing to remember about cover is that you should remain in cover until you are ready to make a play. Cephalo-kids not in cover are Cephalo-kids that are easy to see, and Cephalo-kids that are easy to see are soon to be splatted Cephalo-kids. As an example, I'm going to take a brief cover tour of Muscle Forge Fitness, because there's a lot of variety here and some cool stuff. One thing Muscle Forge has over here I wanted to show you is that there's some transparent cover. You can actually see exactly what everyone's doing through there. We want to take a look at this. Many maps have these sponges. You can inflate them by shooting, and they'll act as cover terrain, and you can also recharge your ink on it. And then when the enemy shoots it, it shrinks back down, and also leaves a nice, perfectly rectangular imprint on the ground. You can inflate it slowly with your main weapon. If you have a bomb, you can maximum inflate it instantly, while the enemy's bomb won't deflate it instantly, which is kind of nice. Moving up here to the top of the thing. This is an important spot. Keep in mind up to the right, if you're seen from there, you're very vulnerable to the enemy. And this is great. This is both cover and a sneaky wall. You can drop down to avoid shooting. Even little blocks like this, not just here, but in other maps, can function as cover. This is in splat zones, this little piece in the middle. This is pretty important. It's a little wider, which helps provide a little more cover from bombs, perhaps. And you can have some fun chasing your opponent around it. Alright, so back on this piece. So this wall, you can't ink this, but it helps protect you if you want to cover the bridge. You can also get on top of it with one press of the B to jump up there and then drop off. As I said though, definitely be careful of that platform to the right because they will come for you. This piece is really interesting and cool. The change in elevation. You can ink all sides of it. So once we get my lovely assistant over here, sort of demonstrate what you can do with this. So now I'm being chased around by an opponent. I can swim around and then up that side instead of going all the way around. We can also go up this side to try to catch up to them. And then there's this array down here. So this side's completely inkable, so you can go over top. And then we have this cool ramp, and all exposed sides of this ramp are inkable, including this part here. Here's my assistant. You want to remember this. That's a direct cover. Plus, you can go this way to maybe take them by surprise. Alright, that's a super brief tour of Muscle Forge Fitness. Be looking for these things on your other maps. As you will soon notice, not all surfaces can be inked. It's important to know the locations of non-inkable surfaces as they change mobility options for you, your teammates, and your opponents. Generally, inkable surfaces are lighter in color and have a flat color, whereas non-inkable surfaces often are darker and appear somewhat shiny or reflective. Let's take a look at the map called Gobi Arena. Gobi Arena has a lot of interesting choices in terms of non-inkable surface placement that present a number of tactical challenges. A lot of neat things about Gobi Arena. Note the inker on the left there. I'll mention that in a minute. A lot of blocks and walls have this patterned fabric look, and those are always inkable. Various maps have these plastic-filled bags things, and they make excellent cover, and they can never be inked. Okay. Now the distant walls look like wood paneling. Any surfaces like that in other maps can always be inked. Here are surfaces that look like glass and a plastic tarp. Surfaces with these textures are never inkable. Here your opponents have to move through basically a splat zone on foot. These several maps have these dark, really dark colored blocks, and those are never inkable. This is interesting in this map. This platform cannot be accessed from down here. You can only get to it by swimming up the back, super jumping to a teammate, or by using the ink rail I mentioned earlier. Once you hop off of it, there's no going back. And this platform is just the same way. That side's the only inkable side. And you see how shiny that stuff is? It almost looks like this has cellophane plastic wrapped over it. It's really neat, interesting. But anything that looks like that cannot be inked. Bit of cover, not inkable. Also too tall to jump on, sadly. Can't even ink that to go back up in that direction. We can get a quick hop there. That's fun. You can squid swim through the basketball nets if you like. That's kind of fun to do. Take a little shortcut over here. And again, none of this is inkable. All these walls, they're covered in plastic, or looks like plastic. All of it kind of pushes the movement forward onto the court. Remember, ink always passes through grating, no matter what angle the grating is at. It is your responsibility to fully explore the maps so that you may properly learn and understand all hazards and possibilities. But that's what Turf 4 is for. Concept 4. Shortcuts? Hopefully, your exploration of the maps in inking turf, seeking cover, and exploring all inkable and non-inkable surfaces will lead you to discover some shortcuts. This is another concept best left to self-discovery, but I'm going to show you a few examples to help you understand what I'm talking about. All maps have shortcuts somewhere, however obvious or sneaky they may be. Many maps have shortcuts that are only available in some game modes. Some are always there. For example, this large block in Sturgeon Shipyard is only here during Rainmaker. We'll get back to that. If you can manage to fully inflate this sponge, you can shorten your trip to the goal. Right there it is. This ramp represents one of the more obvious and straightforward paths. There is also this straightforward path. Obvious, right there, but a long way around. Now back to the block I mentioned earlier. You can hop over here to access a new path to the goal, but you have to time it well. or this happens. That bridge needs to be down to make a fast straight shot. In this case, you can hop over to the sponge if it's inflated. And here, though you may find heavy defenses, going this way can be very dangerous, but very effective if your opponents are distracted. This is another shortcut that is always present so long as the bridges are up. This shortcut is always here in Humpback Pump Track, which gives you access to more of the opponent's side of the map. This ink rail is here in Rainmaker. It's a little tricky to reach, but gives you a shortcut to a side route to the goal. Not that way, that way. In Walleye Warehouse, there is this inkable block during tower control. This is here so you can keep opponents from attacking the tower from this area. The tower which rolls right through there. If you have a friend with a Nintendo Switch in Splatoon 2, the two of you can freely enter private battles to look at all maps in all modes as often as you like. If you don't have this luxury, you will want to make good use of the recon function in the lobby. Simply highlight the mode you want and press Y to enter recon mode where you can freely look at the current maps. Most maps have at least one shortcut of this nature, some of which are only available in certain game modes, as we saw. Arm yourself with knowledge. Get out there and explore. Concept 5. Assessment Challenge! After you've been practicing and exploring the previous concepts for a while, it's time to challenge yourself to measure how you're doing. How long is a while? That depends on you. Let's just say when you're ready. You should definitely start trying to challenge yourself when you start feeling bored. Here is your challenge. Starting with the original Splattershot Jr., ink a path to the opponent's spawn and back to yours as quickly as possible without getting splatted. Think you've got that down? Try moving there and back using new paths. Then kick it up to another level. See how many laps you can finish before getting splatted. Is even that getting too easy? Use different weapons. Still too easy? Try using weapons you rarely use, especially ones you don't normally like. It's harder than it sounds, but it's a lot of fun. Every time you do this, be sure to note every safe retreat path that you can find. You're going to need them as much as air and ink when your opponent spots you. Don't think too hard about it, go do it. Please note that this challenge, you really shouldn't do this challenge except during turf war, because it will benefit your turf war results. And any other rank modes, it could be detrimental to those since they're so much more focused and purpose. Also note that I'm going to have a fairly successful time at this in this example, but the better you get, the tougher opponents you'll face whenever you do Tier 4, and the harder this will be to do. Yeah. Oh, we didn't get that charger. There he is. I'll leave that to that guy. Okay, that was my second lap, so I'm going to try a different route this time. Right up top. Of course, that's all glass on Schellendorf Institute, so you can't ink any of that. There's nobody over here. Ouch! Oh god, that was so close. Did not see that guy until I jumped in there. Ouch, don't get complacent with those stingrays. They will get you. Got him, no, I'm out of ink, no! No! Ah. If you counted, that was 3 laps. That brings us to Concept 6. Check your map. Checking your map is essential, especially in solo queue, where you probably won't be speaking to your teammates, and you have to gather all your field info on your own. There are some different philosophies about when and how often you should check your map. You need to decide for yourself, but you should observe 2 constants no matter what. Check when you are safe, and check after you get splatted. Between checking the map and carefully observing your field of view, you can get a fairly accurate idea of where the opponent is and where you should go to help your team. Here's an example from a recent match. We weren't very successful this time, but there are plenty of good teaching opportunities in this example. I open the map immediately to check on the opposing team. They are inking their base. Cool. I'm gonna check again. I can see they've advanced to center court, and they are starting to cover that turf. I'm poking him with a bomb before taking cover and checking again. They've pushed into our right side, and they have a whole area uninked on their right side. Check again. I can see they're quickly covering the ink that we're trying to put down in the middle, so they have a strong position there. Visually here, we can see exactly where 3 of them are. Checking again. We're improving our ink coverage in the center, but we're still kind of in a stalemate. You could also see the location of the squid beacon someone had put down. And actually, you can see it in the distance there. When we last looked, the opponent still had a large area at the top of the map that was completely uninked. I'm going to try to sneak around and cover that for us. Awesome. Nobody's here. Squid beacon. There we go. Now I really should have checked the map again at this point while I'm up here. Had I checked the map again, I might have been able to see that they, as I can see them down there, they don't have a lot of coverage on their back end. And I might have been able to get a little better coverage in the last few seconds of the match. Nothing out of there. In short, stay safe. Check your map. Make effective decisions. That concludes part 1 of Welcome to Inkopolis. Here's a water gun. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in part 2.